Good afternoon. This is Veterans Talk. It ain't nothing but a thing, but it's a thing we want you to tune into every Saturday afternoon because we are here doing the same thing we've been trying to do ever since we started the show, making sense out of a senseless situation called the plight of veterans in the USA, and the USA with the plight of veterans. I'm Elsa McGee, your host, and I'm here today again with my two favorite veterans in the ATL. My sidekick, Tony, Anthony, and Patricia. Yes. We got some stuff to talk about today, y'all. I mean, government. That government that caused us to go into the military and raise our hand and take an oath of office, of service to the Constitution and to the democracy from which we serve in this country is upside down today. We've seen it all over the governments. I'm talking about from the city government. We're going to talk about what the city government doing. We're talking about the county government. We're going to talk about how they've been manipulated. We're talking about the state government who won't give up funds for the veteran service apparatus in the state of Georgia. And then we had the federal government with veterans being jumped on at the VA hospital. Woo. We talking about automatic weapons and war weapons in the streets too, y'all. We just got to see the democracy that we serve for, the thing that we said we would defend against all enemies, domestic and foreign, calling our hand. It's calling our hand. I'm talking about the attitudes, the kind of dictatorial attitudes that they have toward the people of this country. Our government, those people that we have elected and allowed to appoint. We elect them, and they appoint. And they're supposed to appoint people that's going to do the same thing we did with our service, right? Serve. Do what the Constitution say do. I'm an anti-abortionist. I'm going to just tell everybody that straight up. But I don't think that I got a right to tell a woman what to do with her body. Right. We need to get sense with these laws how we enforcing these laws, because that ain't right. That's a basic constitutional right that they have stripped from all women in this country and from all men who love women. Listen, I was born one son, only son my mama had. My only son my daddy had. My mom used to tell me, don't say that about your dad because you don't know. But I said, Mama, my daddy talked so much, he would tell on himself. If it was out there, I would know it. But I had 4 beautiful sisters, and we always held hands when we left the house. We were made to love on each other, and respect each other. We done lost that because when I went into the military, Tony, and you you probably was a year before me. Mm-hmm. I came out of a totally segregated community, racially segregated. Where I was looking at signs that said white only, and but we came out of that. Why did we believed that we could come out of it? We served. Every generation coming out of our community believed that they raised their hand for a better day. Based on these laws, these principles, these concepts that we studied in high school, that white in high school, that y'all. That we grew up. I was kind of in a way looking forward to the draft. I didn't have sense enough to want to reject the draft. That didn't even come up in my conversation. It came up in my conversation when my mama said, Elson, you got to register for the draft. She said, but I got the exemption paper. What is exemption paper, Mama? Because you ain't got to go. Right. You're the only son. You ain't got to go. Now, that kind of touched me in the wrong way because being the only boy, I had to prove I was soft, y'all. I had the little and then being a little short guy on top of all that, I had to go. I had to say so. But what we're here talking about today is this democracy with veterans. We are veterans talking to veterans. So I'm gonna back up a little bit and let Atish come in and tell us what she been doing, because we got that package and it works. Yeah, it works. So we need, people don't understand, people with mental disorders are not crazy. You know, I used to think that, mental disorder is crazy. Some of the smartest people I met got mental disorders.
That's right.
So we're gonna get things straight with how they value us, veterans, period.
Right.
Veteran military service. How do our community value us? How do our government elected leaders today are valuing us?
Right.
Not very well if you look at the facts.
Right.
We want to talk about them. We're not talking. We're not throwing rocks. We ain't talking about facts, because we're going to address these things. We got to straighten up these things, because if we don't, it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. We got a Supreme Court that is an activist court. It's an activist court. It's a political court. And we got to be afraid of that, because we looked at those three branches of government and we learned how they're supposed to work. We know how they're supposed to work. We the people, right?
Right.
So something is wrong.
Very wrong.
Something is wrong, and I think veterans need to have this conversation.
Absolutely.
We need to look at who we voting for and why. Who we voting for and why. We got to stop getting all of our information off the media. We got to get it out the horse's mouth. If you can't talk to them, don't vote for them. If they can't talk to you and relate to you, don't vote for them. I don't care what kind of plan they say they got for me.
Right.
You got no plan for me, and you ain't gonna talk to me about their plan. The only way we did that was in the military. We
gotta do it.
we took it. We did it, and we stood up for it. And you know what? I'll do it all over again, because some of the greatest people I ever met in my life was in the U.S. military.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's something that we need to talk about, because we back in the community. And today we talking about me being back from the Vietnam War. Keisha had a different war. We need to talk about that, because I'm gonna tell you something. I was sitting down when I was writing this article, and I recall that we were fighting Russia influence in 1968 when I was in Vietnam. Every military conflict since then, we've been fighting Russia.
Yeah.
But we got our elected leaders today do more for Russia than they do for veterans
people. Yeah.
in the community that we live in.
That's crazy.
I'm talking crazy.
Why are we allowing that? I mean, it infuriates me when you break it down. When we break it down like that, and we're spending billions on war, and we're spending billions on foreign aid, it's hypocritical for us to be worrying about foreign politics or foreign countries when we're so horrible. Like, not only are we're like number 50 in education.
Make your own choices.
We're spiraling into a third world country, and we have the audacity to give money out to foreign countries. We have to take care of home first before we take care of anyone else. You know what?
I started this article. I said, have you ever had a vision that you didn't want to see? I'm talking about nightmares. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. The nightmares from trauma, from seeing your young friend that you're in uniform with get tore up.
Yeah.
You see the casket wrapped in a flag and sent home. And you get home and you got no respect, no consideration, no concern.
Right.
I mean, I know, when I thought about that, we've been fighting Russia in every conflict since Vietnam.
Yeah.
They got more AK-47s in the streets now in America than we had in Vietnam.
Right, yeah.
And let's not talk about all the weapons we left over there in these theaters that we were in. We left a whole lot of Humvees, a whole lot of weaponry. Millions of
veterans
dollars.
Veterans need to listen to this.
So, and
see, I'm gonna tell you what too. We so distracted. We have allowed generations of veterans to serve, right? Generations of veterans serve with this humongous, beautiful structure of benefits that you earn from your military contract. What you gonna do when you finish
They
this?
market it to us, right? To get it, wheel us in. Oh, you get free school, you get free living, you get this, you get that. It's like a marketing scheme, but they don't tell you the other side of it. When you do go to war and you don't come back the same person, or you come back and you don't have any resources, where are you going to live? Where are you going to go? How do I get a job? How do I transfer these skills to civilian world? How do I become self-sustainable when I've been relying on this system for so long? And they don't tell you about that other side, but they market it to where you want to come, and they lure you in, and then you're just another number, and they throw you off to war and to fight whatever agenda that they have. And you come back a different person, and that's it. There's no follow-up. There's no follow-through. No. There's no, are you okay? There's no, here's this.
No, they Rambo's.
And yeah.
they take the victim and make them the corporate.
Yeah.
You know, we got to understand that we need to have this conversation. We need to talk about these things in context.
Yeah.
Because looking at what we've been going through these now, you know, with the Fulton County stuff, it's almost became a joke.
Yeah.
You know, when we was lobbying for this thing, we got the news press, and they sit up there and they said everything we want to hear. But when you got in the process, it showed up different. You know, it showed up where those that been getting it, still getting it, but the situation ain't changed.
Yeah.
You know, how can I stand at a meeting, a government meeting, and here I'm talking about having $25 million in the city of Atlanta for homelessness, and go downtown, right across the street from the city capitol, and you got homeless people under the bridge. You got homeless people under the bridge. Veterans, families. And Atlanta City Council say there's some problems. They got some questions about the. We've been working on the thing since 20. Well, we had to work on it among ourselves before we came out with it, but we've been working on this as a chapter project since 2015. We brought it to the city in 2017. Michael Jr. Mom brought it to the city in 2015. So all of these people that saying that some problems, they had plenty of time to look at the problem, but they wouldn't raise a hand to help us do it. They just blocked the funding.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, why don't you want to recognize veterans' service in this community?
Veterans serving veterans.
We come from this town. We come from this county. We went to, and every year since, every graduation, high school year, we got young people from these same communities going into the military. And too many of them are coming back into this community and committing suicide. And they don't care. We can't get a conversation.
Right.
You know, veterans need to be having a conversation. So that's why we got Veterans Talk. I know y'all listen, so you need to call in and join the conversation, because we're going to just lay it out on the table today, because now we got some new things with the claim process too, y'all. Well, let me say this. They went automated. You know, that now I'm going to tell you what. I'm the first one that ran to the bench and started clapping, man. About time. I have watched veterans, and we just lost one this year, you know, because he was in the old system. He died before his claim was processed. So too many of us die because we get ill and we don't know from which that illness come from. And, you know, we get to listen to other veterans, find out, I was in Fort Benning, and where they got Agent down there. What? You know, you got all the illness that the brothers that went to Vietnam got. They was in the same military during the same period. If everybody had went to Vietnam, we wouldn't have lasted long. You know, you had to have support. You know, people in America put this stuff on the plane, loaded it, stocked it, handled it, got it to us, and they won't even recognize them as being exposed. What kind of government have we got to? That's the question I want to put on the board, and I'm gonna leave this to you now. I'm gonna see. It's crazy.
Yeah, you're right. It's really, really challenging seeing how the government in some areas have a tendency to turn a blind eye to things that are obvious. You know, they're very aware of the fact that this stuff was produced in the United States. Yet those people who handled it and stored it and shipped it
put it on the
supposedly aren't getting access to the medical care that they deserve as a result of that.
Because they won't admit points of exposure.
Yeah.
It's all on the manifesto. You know, we know what the manifest is. Everything they have in the military, they got a manifest for it. They know it's there.
Yeah.
So it's not like they don't know it's there.
Every airplane that took off had a manifest on it showing what was on that aircraft.
See, veterans need to stop acting like they're slow. I'm gonna just say that straight up.
Some of them are.
Listen, we got to stop sitting in the corner at family reunions. Listen, talk to your family, talk to your friends.
Yeah.
Get them to understand we need to vote people in the office and out of office based on their performance for the community.
Yep.
And support too. And families to support us too.
Yes.
Coming back, you have to understand that we did endure some trauma that does shift our mindset, that does shift the way we think and will probably behave, and we still need your support too.
Yes,
in that.
absolutely.
And your patience in that too.
And I'm gonna say this, and you got most families do. But the disorders that we bring back to our community are so horrendous. And when I say they Rambo'd us, they Rambo. See, a lot of people can't remember Rambo when we was coming back from Vietnam. Sylvester Stallone was killing everybody. He was a crazy Vietnam vet that they couldn't stop.
Right.
So they introduce a fear factor in our community against us. See, and that's why we got on media. That's why we got Veterans Talk today. So see, we trying to let people know we're still the same person, but we suffer from making a service.
Right.
A service that everybody don't make. Less than 1% of the people in this country ever serve in the U.S. military. And people got this all twisted about the U.S. military. It is one of the most disciplined and integrated forces and effective forces on planet Earth today. And it's not just a war machine. These young people do everything. And the first responders in national disasters anywhere on planet Earth is the United States of America. See that them Navy ships go where the planes go, that the Air Force go where no people can go. We got to understand that we got to keep our focus on the big picture here, because they have made us so self-centered. We can't see the big picture, and it's slipping away from us. You know, we can't see that this democracy that we serve, we have allowed people to get in places in our government that don't have any love or respect for the democracy. They're infiltrators. They have infiltrated the system, and they're trying to flip it to be something other than a democracy. Why would a Supreme Court, Supreme Court now, go against precedents? And especially when it comes down to choice. You got freedom of choice. They didn't think about this in the Supreme Court. Freedom of choice been taken away from every female in this country.
Now, I know this is a very sensitive topic.
Yes.
Right. And I do believe in freedom of choice. God gave us free will, and I don't think anybody should impose anything on anyone.
Right.
As a free living person.
Right, exactly.
However, I do think that the conversation should shift to sex education and contraceptive. There are literally almost hundreds of different ways that you can prevent pregnancy, where killing a child doesn't have to be it should be the absolute last resort. And I'm talking if you've been raped and or incest or something of that nature, then maybe. But I think the conversation needs to shift on other channels, other forms of prenatal care or contraceptive, and not just killing a child. That shouldn't be the topic of conversation. We need some sex education, because a lot of us are out there having sex as if the possibility of a child is not there. You know, it's just reckless, you know, and that's not to judge anyone, but it's basic anatomy. If you have sex unprotected, you have a chance of procreating. Back to birds and the bees. If we got to take it back to basics, that's what it is. But the conversation is just always around abortion. But let's talk about sex education, and let's talk about other means of preventing birth besides killing a child.
Yes.
You know, and I think that we have to broaden and widen our knowledge base when it comes to that. And I do believe in free will, but I am anti-abortion because there's so many other remedies before we get to that. You know, that should be absolute last resort.
Well, I agree, Tony.
The challenge with that is the attitude of, I call them the party of 45, that does not want to expose their children and our children to education about sex education. That is a total taboo now.
But let's say this, you're absolutely right. It didn't start with 45 though.
No.
It has been throughout. I can remember throughout my life. You know, in our community, you know, where they tell you don't do this, don't that, and I'm a Christian. I'm against abortions, right? I mean anti-abortion, but I'm not anti. I don't think that's a role for the government to be involved with. I think it's a role for the family and the faith to be involved
that's between
with.
You and God.
If you see, I hear a lot of people talking about they took the prayer out of school, they took it out of the house first. You know, so we need to understand. We get back to the 5 basic pillars of humanity, and we'll see how we fail ourselves. You know, we got to this point where some people have recognized this. If you got control of the government, you got control of everything. You know, because government was designed really to regulate the behavior of business, right? And some of our behavior as individual citizens. But now what we have gotten to, we don't, the elections, the process by which we elect people have become so politicalized, and well, because the skimmage is that it's been infiltrated by people that can see how they can manipulate people with the government
and make money off
and make money,
like
tons of money. So that's why we got to have this conversation, but a breakdown where people start being distracted, you know, and understand that just because you are an anti-abortionist, and I'm an anti-abortionist, I don't mean that I'm going to take away the freedom of a woman to choice. You know, what I want to do is educate my daughter where she can make the right decision with her life. You know, and be careful with that. But see, we don't want to have those conversations, because that means they put the responsibility back on where it should be in the first place.
Right, and accountability.
Yeah, back to us.
Right.
We are accountable.
Right.
When I got busted for bank robbery, they locked me up. They didn't have no problem with sending me to jail. And either I had to keep doing it, I had to repent. I had to learn. And what we don't want to do nowadays, we don't want to teach our children. We give them an iPad, telephone.
Yes.
You know, instead of spending time with them, passing values on you. You can't shout the values out. You got to demonstrate those values to the child. You know, and we got to recognize that we was constructed in a way that we got the solution to every problem we got. But we have to stand up to do it. We have to come to it. Because if we don't come to it, somebody come to us saying they got a solution for our problem, and they don't really understand the nature of our problem. We got a bigger problem. You know, and that's what has happened. And I call it a new slavery. We're in a state of new slavery. And they talk about my granddaughter, I hope she listened to. I don't think it make no difference to vote. Well, you just made a difference.
Yeah.
You just made a difference for the opposition. Because when you don't vote, that counts. People got to realize that. When you don't vote, it counts. It weakens the democracy. It take away the opportunities that we serve to have for everybody. See, if we could get the rest of society to integrate as well as the U.S. military have integrated, man, this would be a beautiful world.
Yeah. The point you make is extremely important because it's very obvious is they're concerned about power and control. And by limiting your ability to make choices on the people you're voting for, or your ability to even vote for those people, is a way they are gaining power. And once they gain that power, they're not going to give it up.
But it makes you question, like, out of all the laws, I mean, Roe versus Wade been in forever. Why now do they decide to overturn something like that? It has to be an agenda behind it, right?
It's an agenda.
Like a bigger agenda. And I think that a lot of them that did vote against it, they know that the white demographic is getting smaller and smaller.
Yes.
A lot of them are dying off. A lot of them are dying from opioids. Their population, they're becoming the minority, right? And a lot of them do, they have abortions a lot. I mean, this is why I'm anti-abortion, right? Because I know the history of it. It was created and designed for eugenics to annihilate us. Okay, we're gonna keep it real. Her name was Margaret Sanger, right? And she created that to annihilate the black race, right? And this is why I'm anti-abortion, right? Because I know the history. I know why Planned Parenthood was designed. It was designed for that. But now, after all this time, it seems like they're changing it now because, not necessarily for us, but because they're seeing their population decrease and they are becoming the minority, and they know that a lot of the women are having abortions. So all this time, they didn't care. They don't care if we kill our black babies, right? But now it's changing because population is changing, other things are changing behind the scenes, because out of all this time, why now? Why are you flipping things that have been in law for years? You know?
See, one of the things that's happening, and we got to recognize, and I kind of pointed it out when I said that we was fighting Russia in 1968. We're hard to learn. We're hard to learn. Understand that. If we don't learn from which we come, we're going to keep repeating the same old dumb stuff.
Right.
And that's what we keep doing in this country. You know, we making these good steps forward, then we become so lethargic or whatever it takes that we take our eyes off the ball and wind up in a situation where 2% of the population control 90% of the wealth.
It's crazy.
And you think that ain't crazy. That's because the rest of us are participating. We are allowing them to do this. We are cooperating with them. Dr. King told us that a long time ago. Malcolm told us this too, and we better believe it. It's going to be the bullet or the ballot.
Yeah.
Malcolm, I mean, we done had plenty of prophets coming and going, telling us the same thing, and we're still. It ain't as bad. It ain't as bad as it ain't as bad.
I think on top of promoting voting too, we should also promote people
that's going
that will run too.
Let me say this here. Let me say this here. When I say us, I mean I want to look at it as people of God.
Right. Yes.
I don't want to look at no one race. I want to look at people of God.
Right.
Because I just happen to be naive, and, like that. I believe that God is the God of all.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now He got some bad children, and He gonna handle them. He gonna handle them. He got the storms and the tornadoes and pandemics. We better wake up.
Right.
See, what we got to be able to do is address these problems that we can address right now, really. And when we think about what the city of Atlanta just did, it was a slap. It's a cold slap. Just slap. Just, we don't care about veterans that much to even try to help them do nothing. We don't care. They can stay up under the bridge, and I can walk in the city hall and every day and, get in my car and go to my comfort, and I don't care. We got to care.
That's right.
For except for the grace of God that go out. It could have happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was so traumatized when I got back to this city. I didn't want to be here because I learned that one of my best friends that I went to Washington High with got killed. How am I gonna deal with this? How am I gonna? I'm back, but I'm traumatized now, so I can't see the forest for the trees.
Yeah.
And ain't nobody here to tell me, you've been traumatized.
Yeah. Right.
You've been messed up. Come on, we need to get you some. Got to deprogram you, bro. You done been in a bad place.
Right.
Nobody tell me, so I gotta act like I'm normal.
Right.
The only way you can act like you're normal is you're gonna drink a drug. You're gonna self-medicate.
Right.
And that's what's happening in our community today. People are traumatized to the point that they can't get up from that without a drug or alcohol.
That's very true.
And we gonna blame them. We are cooperating with the economic inequities, like Maynard said so. That we don't want everybody to forget, man. We done had some great leaders in our community. Maynard said, listen, politics is about the control and distribution of wealth. Mm-hmm. And the only way to get there is to vote. Get there to vote. Cause, see, we got some smart people there, and we got some people that Crest City, boy, they didn't even do a first-term mayor. In a black city that they went through hell to set up. The mayor got corrupt. He didn't even finish his first term. So it ain't the color of your skin. It's the where your heart and your spirit is.
Right.
So we calling up on the people of God.
Yeah.
Veterans and non-veterans alike. Because see, we are all in this together.
That's right.
We're all in this together. You should not send young people off to the military and not understand what is going on with them when they come back home.
That's right.
It should be a shame in your heart to know that 22 veterans is committing suicide every day. How you gonna just walk and go about your business and not think about this? Why this ain't important to the city of Atlanta? Why they not listening and understanding what we talking about with this memorial? We ain't talking about just a monument in the park. They know we talking about more than that because they see us out in the community, Tony, working, doing it. Mm-hmm. They know we doing it. They don't want us to do it. They don't want what you got to get to them because, you're going to have some people acting like me. They ain't like they got some sense and they're going to be doing some stuff in their hood that's going to make it good. Yeah. And that's what we want. We want people, and we're going to look at that RFP. I don't care how much they think they're going to let it be out there like that and make it more community friendly.
Right.
The way that was set up, we couldn't win when it was set up.
Yeah.
It was too bureaucratic and it just didn't fit the hood.
Yeah. I had a lot of complaints too from even going to this, I think I had told you I went to this veteran expo and someone recognized me from the press conference and was asking me questions. I think I had called you while I was there because I didn't know. But it was a lot of the red tape and it seemed like a lot of redlining and it made it extremely complicated to get through this application. And it seems like within this redlining, they make it complicated for genuine community-based veteran organizations to access the resources and the funds we need to expand our services to our own people. It's like, what do you want? And like we work and we earn this money, and whether we get this money or not, we're still out here doing the work.
We're gonna do the work.
What are you doing with these funds? We're supposed to be helping you distribute these funds to the veterans that need it, but you're not making it accessible because
of your bureaucracy.
Yeah.
You got so many layers of government that got so many different motives. People, and we got infiltrators now. We got to keep in mind we got these infiltrators getting in our government. Right. Causing this division in our communities where you got better roads on one side of town than you got on the other one, and all those paying taxes. Right. Patrick Henry had something to say about that. Taxation without representation is no longer acceptable. Wasn't accepted by Patrick Henry, ain't accepted by me. We don't need to take this stuff anymore.
Right.
You know, we need to plan to get together, veterans and the community, you know, and talk about these problems. Do you know that we can reduce crime tomorrow without the police?
Absolutely.
All you got to do is remove lack. Take away the lack. You can remove 100% of the lack today if you would start paying a livable wage. $15 an hour ain't a livable wage in this economy.
Not with inflation, no.
You know, what we have to think about, just being realistic. If right now, if everybody in America had $65,000 a year income, they could live comfortable, and that wouldn't hurt none of the billionaires and millionaires. They're just greedy, and we cooperating with them. Remember the bus in Birmingham? I mean, down there where they wouldn't let Rosa Parks sit on the bus, and Dr. King said, "Well, let's don't ride the bus no more."
Right, put them out of business.
Put them out of business. See, we keep talking about the inflation. They're looking for the government. All you got to do is start buying the product, and I bet you they'll bring the prices down.
Absolutely.
We need to stop letting folks. You know, we veterans need to have this conversation.
I think we just don't know we have the power. When you don't know that you have power, you don't even know how to utilize that power. If the people don't know that we are the power, how can we utilize?
We are the power.
Yeah. Power
so this is why we got Veterans Talk. This is why I want you here every Saturday afternoon with me and my friends and my veteran friends, these patrons, these great Americans doing what nobody else got the heart to do. Just come talk to you about things that we want to talk to you. Now let me say this here. The automated system at the VA, I tested it myself. I tested it. I filed a claim in March, which was my birthday month. In June, I had got the grant.
That's rare.
In June, I had got the benefit.
That's very rare.
The system works if you make it work.
This is how it works.
This is what we've been trying to say with the Veteran Claim Clinic for a minute now, Tony, right? All we got to do is make sure we can help eliminate homelessness with the benefit package. We got to understand the holes in this issue is that when you file a claim, you got to have the evidence to support that claim. What is the evidence? We talked about the evidence that you need to do the claim. You need to be able to show that, first of all, it's service connected, right? Where do you establish service connection? From something that happened to you in the military or something that resulted from something that happened to you in the military? If you get that, just understand that that's simple. Now keep that in mind. That's forever. That's generational. That can't change that. They can confuse it. And they have confused it for years. Ever since we started being veterans. 1954 was when we started being veterans, right? That was when they deactivated the last so-called colored unit in the military. That means that all of us went into the regular military. All of us started coming out the military with benefits, right? I met a brother that was in World War II. Now this is Georgia now, and that's why I'm going to this thing about the state of Georgia and Brian Kemp. I'm talking about every level of government. We ain't just gonna talk about the county. We ain't talking about the city. We talking about every level. Cause veterans, I want us to be able to identify with each other now. I mean, I need veterans all across the spectrum, all across every generation to identify with what we're talking about. So we got to come together. If we don't come together, and we come together, and I just want to call this in the power of veteran movement. Why? Because we could be the pivot vote that determine who elected in every race. You know, cause and we do that by coming around and understanding our benefit package. That benefit package is more than disabilities. You got business, homes. You know, so I asked myself one day, why you got a homeless veteran when a veteran can get a home without any money down? Right. Oh man, what a system we got. They made it where you got to have credit, your credit score. Right. You got to see. So all these things, we got to know these things so we can work these things, so we can get these benefits, because over $200 billion a year is allocated by the government in your name. Veteran allocation. $200 billion. Why we have veterans up under the bridge? Because nobody has worked the system to help them get their benefits. I've been blessed to do that. So I needed funds from Fulton County to help do that, but they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it. We're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna do it anyway.
Yeah.
So see, what happened? Where do you need funds when you got the VA there? Part of the automation is come about by the business perspective, looking at the VA as a business. So they have privatized. Listen to what I'm saying now. All of the exams. I went all over everywhere except in the city of Atlanta to these exams. They were popping them off like that, right? That's why they could speed up the process. Why couldn't they get that at the VA hospitals, at the VA benefits administrations? See, now they made it more complicated because I met rudeness and insensitivity. You know, with these private things, you know. I'm asking questions. Well, I don't know that. I'm just the VA said that.
Calm down.
Hold on. I got PTSD, y'all.
Right. You're triggering me right now.
You don't know what you're dealing with,
Right.
So help me out, y'all. Listen, this is Veteran Talk, and we got to get veterans on top of this stuff. Robert Dukes. Oh, Robert, I guess Robert trying to call in.
Yeah.
Oh, Denise. How you doing?
You're doing your broadcast, right?
Yes, I thought that's what you was calling in on.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I ain't gonna do that no more, y'all. Y'all gonna call on the line here. You know, gonna call on the line. I ain't answering the phone no more. But anyway, what we got to do today, I'm trying to get to the nitty gritty of this stuff. We need to really look at the big picture and see where we fit in. And if we don't see ourselves fitting in, well, stay where you at. But if you see yourself fitting in, we want you to join us. You know, come become a part of the task force, the Sons of Atlanta task force. We need volunteers. We're gonna build a memorial whether they done. We already got the land grant. Tony, talk to us about it.
Yes, the City of Atlanta, through the Piedmont Park Conservancy, has designated a location in Piedmont Park for us to build this memorial. For those of you who are familiar with the city, it sits on Piedmont Road between 12th and 14th Street, fairly close to the 14th Street's entrance into Piedmont Park. So this is something that is going to happen. It is going to happen. Yes, we're dealing with challenges with the getting funding from the City of Atlanta, but it's not going to be the end all for our building this particular memorial. And so what we're doing, as we always do, we want you, the citizens of Atlanta, the veterans that we've been talking about today that have experienced those challenges with the VA and with the VA hospital and with the claim service, to support us in building this memorial. One of the easiest ways that you can do this, of course, is to physically volunteer. However, we're looking for you to contribute. And one of the easy ways that you can contribute is purchasing a commemorative brick that will put your name permanently in Piedmont Park, permanently with our Vietnam Veterans Memorial that we're building there. So we're asking for your support in doing this. One of the ways, of course, is just making a donation. Other ways, of course, if you just can't purchase a brick, like I said, make a donation. And we're encouraging, if you're a veteran and your family knows you're a veteran, encourage your families to support you and help purchase you a brick in your name or the family's name to be a part of this memorial. We're out looking for citizens. We want to make this a veterans, family, citizens of Atlanta friendly memorial so that all of you can be a part of this, and we're looking for you to be a part of this. However, if it's a challenge right now, as we come up on the summer season, this is a time when a lot of families after COVID are finally getting back together and having physical family reunions. Here's an excellent opportunity for those of you who are participating in those family reunions, and most of us come from families that had veterans. Here's an opportunity to celebrate our heritage, those ancestors that fought in some of the earlier wars that or conflicts that the United States was involved in. Here's an opportunity for you to purchase a commemorative brick and have it placed permanently in Piedmont Park as a part of that memorial. So we're looking for if you're looking for any opportunity to celebrate your family and your family members and your veterans, or your sororities, your high school. You know, there are a lot of us who came from high schools right here in the city of Atlanta who had friends that went to Vietnam, paid the ultimate price. Here's an opportunity for those high school reunion committees to get together and purchase a brick in commemoration of those members who attended your high schools. And there are several high schools in Atlanta that had students that attended that school that ended up paying the ultimate price. Here's an opportunity for those class reunions to do that. So you're asking everybody, you know, get out, spread the word. Of course, if you're looking for the site, it's sonsofatlanta.org, sonsofatlanta.org, and you'll get a beautiful story on this memorial, on those of us who are on the task force, and for the Sons of Atlanta who paid the ultimate price. So we're looking for all of you, anybody from Atlanta or anywhere across the country, to make that contribution, purchase those bricks so that we can complete the building of this memorial.
And I want to emphasize this. Even though it's the Sons of Atlanta Memorial, it's going to build and put value to military service for every generation. Because part of the memorial is, once we get the monument in the park, is we're going to go into libraries and community centers throughout Fulton County with information and assistance. See, we got to remember that 75% of those of us who went to fight in Vietnam never had the chance to vote before we went to service. We were too young to vote. So we're celebrating young men that was fighting for democracy, that laid their life down because of their faith in this democracy, not because they have had an opportunity to vote. 75% of them that died in Vietnam never had the opportunity to vote. They was too young. We're going to make sure that the vote means something in their communities. We're going to go into these community centers and libraries, and we're going to make sure that they got information, and that information is gotten out into the community, because we're going to have a bunch of volunteers in the community that's there for the betterment of the community, not for profit. Right. You know, we're going to make sure that these people that are volunteering are helping us eliminate homelessness, even though they never had homeless. But they got a sensitivity for veterans. They got a sensitivity for the issues that we're talking about. So we're building more than just a memorial in the park. This is a memorial in the community where you're going to see veterans in a different light than you ever seen them before. You're going to understand that all of us are not homeless. I want to shout out to one of my favorite veterans in the city, and always been, is Ted Jackson. And I'm going to get Ted on the show. I hope you listen too. You know, he used to be at Concerned Black Clergy. He used to be sheriff. And when he was sheriff, he used to have things for juveniles. You know, getting the community together around this issue of juvenile. How do we get our children to stop bringing guns into our home? See, we need to, these are issues that we're going to have to deal with, because they are our issues. You know, we got to get rid of them automatic weapons out of our community, because ain't nobody else here. They want us to have them. We're killing each other. So we got to bring the community together around the issues, not just veteran benefits, but the veteran community. We all live in the same community. It's scary when you think some idiot got an automatic weapon gonna go in the grocery store and kill up people, or go to the church and kill up a bunch of people.
Or go to a school.
Or go to a school and kill up a bunch of people. We don't need no war weapons in our community. And we got to be able to stand up and say, starting with my own child, don't bring no gun in my house. My mom tell me that, don't bring no gun in my house. You know, you ain't grown, you get grown, gone. Don't bring no, you ain't bringing in them. We don't have parents that are able to help to do that today. We got to get people volunteering in the community that can help our children understand that life is worth more than that. You know what? Life is worth more than that, because anytime you go out, you're a bad boy, you kill somebody, you go in jail. So the enemies, you know, killed two birds with one stone. Got you a gun so you kill somebody, you out of the work, and they out of the work. We got to get into our community with the veterans. You know, all these, like now, I set that out to kind of lay this up. Tish got some stuff that she need in the community. And especially, and I'm gonna say this, we got more traumatized children and women in our community than we want to admit to.
Yep.
And that never been in the military.
Yep.
Never been in the military. And they can't afford to get mental health care.
Mm-hmm.
They can't. We got to look at these things. We need to get some stuff into our community to help these kids and these that's traumatized.
Yeah.
And you got it. Talk about it. Listen, talk about the kids. I started trying to talk about it, but I just been using it. I can't tell you, but I can tell you the impact. I can't tell you what all the breakdown.
This morning I attended a Veterans Women Conference. I was a guest speaker there, and like you said, the women are suffering too. You know, we're almost forgotten when it comes to veterans or military, and a lot of the women have suffered military sexual trauma, and nobody's talking about that either. You know, and quite naturally, a lot of them are mothers, and a lot of them are passing down that trauma to the children too. You know, because if they're not in their right space, but they have this child, quite naturally they're not going to be in the best space either that they can be in. And so it's such a heavy loaded issue, you know, but I do believe that us, right, the people that do care, the people that are meeting, people do have organizations, I do believe that we are beginning to make an impact, and I don't think that it's in vain, and I do think what we're doing is necessary, and I think once the ball gets rolling, people will be more supportive of it, and they will come to us for the resources that they need, and we do care, and I think it's just us linking up and finding each other and knowing that, yeah, I do have a veteran brother or sister that has that organization, or I know that they're going through that. I can recommend your organization.
And the truth of the matter is, we need to be able to have these networks because we got more resources when we do that. But the problem
it's like
that
we have to solve our own issue as veterans, right? Us. As a community, because we have a community, and we have something that can solve. I have something that you have something that I have.
Yes.
I'm not really good at filing claims. I know people that need to file claims. I'm good at holistic mental health, resource, physical health,
and
we need that
too
in our community.
We need more of that right now than we need claims.
We do. They both equally important, but if you're not physically healthy, right, you can't even stay long enough to enjoy your claim that you're making, right, and the money that you're getting. So health is paramount. Health is absolute wealth. That has to come first. Our physical and mental health has to come first before we get any money, because we're not going to know what to do with it.
And let me just shoot that in. When you say health, now I told you about the claim. Now the claim that I found, the claims that I found were all new claims. I'm already 100% total from the disabled, but I had some new issues. The new issues was a heart and ischemic heart disease, which come from Vietnam, and it kind of scared me to death. You know, and it even scared me worse when I got the rating back from the VA, because they rated me higher than I thought that I was going to be.
So if you're 100%, how do you go higher? Like when you 100%, you file.
Well, see, that's the whole conversation. We see you. It's based on your conditions.
Okay.
You know, once you get and a lot of people think that once you got 100%, that's it. No, it's not yet. But I don't encourage that because it's a lot of fraud going on in the VA, and you know, a lot of people get hooked up and think that I'm gonna help them do a fraud. I'm not gonna do that.
Right.
I'm gonna help you get your claim as you deserve it.
Right.
You know, and I'm not the one that determines whether you deserve it or not. Right. I triage people to ascertain whether they are qualified to get the claim, and I will fashion and make sure they get a winning claim. But the VA determines
if you get
what you get, and this is how you put it there. Now, basically, medicals, right? My medicals, well, they want me to have open heart surgery, so that when they said it, oh no, you know, because medicine is not something, health condition is not something we want to discuss openly because, you know, we want to be tough guys. You know?
Yeah.
But what we need, I'm discussing it because I want people to understand that, yeah, you get more when you get a serious condition. When you are rated 100% already, unemployable, and you get another condition that the VA rates 60% or more, then you get more. Right? They call it add-ons.
Okay.
You know, you can get add-ons. So they gave me an add-on, and it kind of bothered me because they told me I needed to have this surgery, and I said no. Why did I say no? Because I was afraid of the surgery. It's open heart surgery, and so I froze like most people do when they got a serious diagnosis. And so now I'm saying, I'm 75 years old. I ain't finna let you cut my chest open. I said, I'm all paranoid now. My PTSD done kicked in, but I ain't got nobody to fight but myself. So I'm sitting there, and you know, so now I'm thinking, man, what am I gonna do? I got a friend that's a naturalist, right? She said, listen, you don't worry about whether that doctor thinks you need a heart condition. You got some natural stuff. You can do some stuff that can make you well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what? Make me well?
Absolutely.
You know, and I'm one of them guys that you can have the money. I want to be well. You know.
Right.
So she started telling me about changing the way I eat. Go straight to the first thing I want you to do. Now you know I love salt. I can't eat. I had to go through all these changes in my taste bud, right? Yeah. But now it's working.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know, it's working. You know, so what we need to do is have these kind of discussions, because I got a friend right now, one of our members. You know, matter of fact, he's our secretary. He went through lung cancer. Surgery. They cut him open, went into his lung. He's struggling. You know, because invasive surgeries. All these invasive surgeries is worse than the condition in a lot of cases, because I buried 2 friends in the last month, both Vietnam veterans. You know, died from Agent Orange related issues. You know, they said got to the point that just you know, the treatment wasn't there, and that frustration with the system. One of them, his wife told me that he just got so stubborn he wouldn't take the treatment, and he died. But you know, he was 100%. He had been 100%. You know, I'm talking. I've been 100% over 20 years, and he was 100% before I was. You know, but he just got tired of the conditions and the treatment. So I'm saying that's why I was so excited when I saw you come in today, because they rated me again for PTSD, because my PTSD, anytime you got a physical ailment, it impacts your physical.
Right.
That's your mental. Your mental.
Absolutely.
So we're going to be back next week. I know we got, Keisha, you got to come back, because we got to get into this natural stuff. Because not only talk about it, we got to get some of that stuff out in the community, because people can use that. Yeah. They need it.
I think more so just educating ourselves on proper eating and nutrition. I think our culture is a lot of salt, a lot of sugar. We're number 1 in high blood pressure. We're number 1 in cancer. We're number 1 in hypertension, heart disease.
So next week, folks, next week we'll be back here doing the same thing. And you know, we're gonna get a little bit more into the claim system because it's important. I got several claims pending now that I'm hoping going into the new system. They still got 2 systems at VA, so don't think that you've been dropped because you ain't heard from them in a long time. Well, it's the issue. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that. But I want you to know all is not lost. Hope is here. We're gonna make sure that we're gonna keep doing what we're doing. Next Saturday we'll be right back here again. I'm hoping Tisha come back so we can. We're gonna talk about some holistic healing stuff because I'm gonna tell you something. I'm doing some stuff with my heart condition. It ain't gonna cure me, but it ain't gonna make me have surgery.
It can cure you.
Okay.
Let's make it clear.
Okay. Well,
you can heal yourself of any ailment.
Well, I'm trying. I'm gonna put it out there.
We're gonna get there.
So next week, back here again.
Yes.
With my twins. So good evening. Have a good one. Ooh.